For more on the ups and downs of China's yuan, I'm joined by Dan McClory. He's the president and head of China and Bausted and Company. Dan, thanks a lot. Always great to see you.
Thanks, Sean. Happy to be on the show today, and Merry Christmas.
And happy holidays to you, sir. Let's talk about the yuan's performance this year. Have analysts, did they inspect this kind of dip? And to what degree is the depreciation having not only an effect in China, but ripple throughout Asia and other markets as well?
Well, it's definitely been expected. There's no question of that. When you have a slightly weakening economy in China, you have a lot of dollar strength. Let's face it, this is more of a story of dollar strength than it is yuan weakness. You have some geopolitical events that are taking place with the United States and the election of Donald Trump. I think all of it contributes to an environment where continued devaluation is going to occur. And you know, Sean, they've taken to giving this a name. It's actually the battle of 7 versus 3. And that is, will the yuan go to 7 per the US dollar? And will the $3 trillion in Forex reserve be maintained, or will that be reduced to help appreciate the yuan?
It's going to be interesting. Now, the markets last year reacted much differently than they have this year. The markets have responded in a pretty strong fashion. I've heard people say in the past, if you're looking to invest long term, equities are going to be the best place to put your money. How has the fall in the RMB affected the China's market?
Yeah, Sean, that's a great perspective. You know, if you and I were having this conversation a year ago, it'd be far different than it is today. Some have said that the asset bubble in China didn't burst, it just relocated. So it went from stocks and equities into property, back into stocks, now maybe international property. I think one of the biggest barometers that we're seeing out there as an investment bank is the increase in the number of Chinese companies who want us to underwrite their IPOs right here in the US. We're on a run rate right now for 2017, which would be equal to about 10% of the entire market for Chinese IPOs. And I think that shows to what extent Chinese companies want to go to access capital, and if they can, get their hands on dollars.
How's that going to affect the average Chinese investor? China has a huge growing middle class. A lot of money is being invested. The fact that the market is doing well, but the fall in the yuan, how do you balance this?
Right. Well, let's remember, you know, the Shanghai Composite is down around 12% for the year-to-date 2016. So it has not been a stellar year. It hasn't been an extremely volatile year like 2015. But we're also aware that in January, the annual $50,000 foreign exchange exemption will open up again. Mm-hmm. And I would expect, along with a lot of other commentators, that be used up very rapidly and very quickly with Chinese New Year and spending based on that notwithstanding. So I think you're going to continue to see conversion into dollar-denominated assets. I think maybe it's going to have the form of property or foreign securities as opposed to domestic property and domestic securities. You
know, the people I've talked to today and read about, this is an important question. From October 1st, China's yuan gained new status as a member of the International Monetary Fund's Special Drawing Rights, SDR basket. How is that going to affect the currency fluctuation? Is it hurting?
I don't think it is. Remember, there's a lot of runway to being part of the special drawing rights and to actually becoming a reserve currency. So I don't really see a cause and effect between the two. And again, let's keep in mind that the yuan has done very well, held its own, in fact, against the euro and the pound and some other Southeastern Asian currencies. So the SDRs in and of themselves, I don't think are going to have much of an effect. I think the statement's been made that China's currency deserves to be in that basket, but the effects of actually becoming reserve currency are still lagging.
Okay, let's get you a look in the crystal ball just a bit. Some people say that's going to help promote reforms in China's financial markets. Have we seen any progress so far? What changes do you expect to happen in the next few years? And what do you look at in terms of the yuan in the near future compared to the market?
Well, I'll start with the last question first. I mean, there are two schools of thought on the yuan. One is that there should be a large, perhaps 20% across the board devaluation just to stop this kind of death by 52 cuts with every single week continued depreciation. Of course, that would be very tumultuous.
Controversial, to say the least, yeah.
Absolutely, and then China values certainty and consistency and likes to be able to plan and plan long term. And speaking of planning, the 19th People's Congress will be open this fall, and that's quite a rallying event to have these matters under control. So in terms of reforms, there have been several attempts at reforms. I think they're going to continue. I think rather than the pure reform, Sean, seeing action being taken that shows China is responsible in these matters. And I'll make a couple examples here. You know, this year we had the Shenzhen Hong Kong Connect, which has now opened up investing into Shenzhen A-listed shares from outside of China. That's a major development. The MSCI index, that's still lagging. We're still waiting for China's inclusion in that. They're waiting for some further reforms, but it's been decided and understood. It's just a matter of time right now. And again, we did not see the massive sell-offs and ups and downs of the equities market this year like we did last year. So
are people
something is
putting
going
money
right
in
the
real
policy
estate
world.
that you're not seeing that like you saw in years prior?
We're seeing it to some extent, but again, I think that sort of asset bubble is coming and going. It's coming out of equities into property. Some curbs are put in place. It's going back into equities, and then it's searching out now international property.
Well, Dan, we could talk about this, but I'll let you get back. Enjoy your holidays. Dan McClory, he is the president of Bosted and Company. Thanks very much for joining us. Have a great holiday.